Road Trippin' fans, homage t-shirts are as ferocious as the dunks or bangouts Richard and Channing throw down from time to time, and their softness can't even be matched. Homage has been turning back the clock with throwback tees for years. From the NBA to the Ultimate Warrior, the tee that LeBron wore on the plane after leading the Cavs to its first title the city had seen in over 50 years. Well, homage tells the stories of triumph, individualism, and hustle, preserving the old school and creating new legacies. Go to homage.com, that's HOMAGE, and pay homage with your favorite tee. Be sure to check out the NBA Jam tees and one exclusively made for me and you. Better yet, 3 other tees designed specific to the Road Trippin' fam you'll want to check out. We're Road Trippin' at homage.com. Welcome into another edition of Road Trippin' Richard versus Channing. I'm your host, Allie Clifton, and this episode we like to call a trip down memory lane. For Cavs fans, you will thoroughly enjoy, I'm willing to bet. For Warriors fans and or all those Harrison Barnes fans especially, it may be a little tough to listen to just from the simple fact that, thanks to both of these guys, episode 73 brings you a very enlightening chat where Richard and Harrison go all in about the 2016 NBA Finals. These guys make real look easy and remind us all just what being a champion, along with what comes with being a champion, is all about. And then, of course, there's plenty more. Trust me, you'll want to stay for the whole thing. Richard, it's all yours.
I just want to say this, with an extreme amount of technical difficulties, we prayed this thing is working. But
in the event that it's not.
Thank you, Joe from the Cavs, and Allie 1 and Allie 2 for teaming up to figuring out what was wrong with this thing. But we have the one and only HB on the podcast, Harrison Barnes. And, okay, Allie Sturm.
Well done.
Hey,
it's only how many podcasts in we can pronounce my last
70,
name?
70. But, thanks for that, Harrison. So Harrison Barnes is here. How you doing, Harrison?
Can't complain now that we've got it started. How are you guys?
Oh, wow. Now he wants to complain. I'm doing a lot better now that we can figure out this thing. Yeah. What do you think?
I'm impressed. You got it done. You were this close to giving up.
He didn't get it done.
That's true. Let's be real.
Allie 1 and Joe.
Yeah, I was really, really close to quitting. But we have you here.
Yes, thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming.
And being patient.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
On your day off, Harrison.
Yeah, on my day off.
Yeah. So what year is this now for you?
It's year 6.
Holy shit! I had you as a rookie.
I know. I thought you were going to retire that year.
I thought I was going to.
I was thinking of retiring.
I literally thought I was going to retire 6 times in those 6 years.
6 years later, he's still fine.
What was he like as a vet?
Oh, RJ was great. He used to have these epic, and I mean epic, one-on-one battles every day with Ken Bazemore.
Yes.
They would go at it in the block, because, back then it was all about the logo game, right?
Yeah. Right.
Was a logo game instructor. So he would go in and they'd play one-on-one. And I remember one day, it got a little heated between them, and Ken was yelling, pass the torch. Pass the torch. Next thing we know, Ken's car was full of popcorn.
Popcorn. Yeah. We've talked about the popcorn.
I heard about that.
Yeah. Well, my thing with Kent is that he was a little on the skinny side, right? He was a little on the skinny side,
but quick,
very quick and long and athletic. But he just needed to learn the physicality of the game. He didn't have that natural physicality yet.
And he got it, though.
He got it. And not that I'm going to take full credit, but I was in his wedding. So I'm not going to take full credit for it. But yeah, I was in his wedding. So, yeah, man. So, HB, man, we've come a long way, you and I.
Long way.
A long way. Because no bullshit. That first year in Golden State, we were terrible. And then they drafted you, drafted Kent, drafted Draymond.
Festus, too.
Festus. Then that was Clay's second year.
Yeah.
And so that was literally my first year really not playing. And that was my first year considering retirement. That was my first year considering retirement. And so I was just like, what the fuck am I going to do, right? So I was like, let's just mentor these young boys, right? Because you guys were good. And then the next year I left. that year, the next year they fired Mark Jackson, right? I don't know how, but some way I just blamed you. And then
I had to become the sacrificial goat for that one. Okay.
Yeah, and then the next year you guys brought in Steve, and you guys added Luke. You guys needed more Wildcats. That's really what it was.
Oh, the San Diego Wildcats. I mean, they're strong.
They're strong, really strong. Yeah, Q. You had a Q.
Oh.
And then you guys won a championship, man.
Yeah.
How was that?
Man, it was a crazy 2 years. I mean, because you go from literally getting knocked out in the first round of the playoffs against the Clippers, all the Donald Sterling stuff and all that. So I remember I'm on the phone with Coach Kerr, during the Western Conference Finals, right? And he's watching the Spurs play. He's like, man, honestly, I just think we can be in the Western Conference Finals next year. I'm like, this guy's never coached before, man. He has no idea what he's talking about. I'm like, you play with MJ and all that, but
right.
It's really hard. Like, we're a first round exit team. And then, man, I mean, he came in that next year. He tinkered the lineups a little bit, but I mean, he just got everyone just playing just in a pass flow type offense, and I mean, it just changed everything. So it was.
Do you think some? But we talk about this a lot. Like, do you think some of that shit is luck? Because we could talk about tweaking the offense, but it was like David Lee gets hurt. Now, he was an all-star, two-time all-star, was an all-star 2 years prior. But remember, he got hurt at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
So then Draymond started, and then you guys were rolling.
Yeah.
But had that not occurred, like David Lee was your starting power forward, had always been your starting power forward since y'all signed. But then that forced D. Lee to the bench, right? And so it was like, that was a little bit of luck.
I mean, if he doesn't get hurt, I don't have the playoff run I had in my rookie year either, though.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of.
But you could say that about so many things. With things, you know what I mean?
But most things like that don't lead to multiple championships.
Most
things.
I don't want to say it's luck. I mean, it's
not luck, but it was just something that negative happened that was turned into something extremely fortunate.
Well, I mean, you could look at it and say it was bad drafting. I mean, for literally, I mean, to have that team, to have that skeleton kind of there. I mean, when you look back, you're like, man, what teams passed on? Steph, Clay. I mean, Draymond. I mean, Festus. Guys that didn't.
The fact
think
that San Antonio gave me away, it was just like,
I mean, exactly. I mean, it's just, you think about it, it's crazy. The fact that Andre was able to sign. Mo Spades, Leandro Barbosa. I mean, all these different guys. You're just like Sean Livingston. Right. People are like, these guys are over the hill. These guys can't come together. I mean, it was just kind of a crazy circumstance of how everything came together. So,
what was Steve like as a coach?
Oh, he was great. He was super laid back. I think we were winning a lot of games. So I think that helped. It kind of helped. Keep the laid back atmosphere. But no, he was really good. Just I think being a player, he kind of understood like these are things that players like. These are things that a lot of coaches do. These are things that I hate that coaches did. So then I'm just not going to do those. Yeah. So then it was a very just free atmosphere.
I had heard that he does a lot of team dinners and things like that, just a lot of camaraderie stuff. And I thought that was really cool hearing that and kind of behind the scenes stuff of what he does when the guys are off the court. Yeah,
no, he went to bat major for us back when I was on Golden State with the whole team dinner things, making sure team takes care of it, making sure that it's a thing where if you have people who are in town, your friends can come to team dinner, your family can come to team dinner, awesome. It's a family atmosphere, right? It's one thing to just say it and it's oh yeah, we're a family, but you guys just do team dinner on your own. But he would encourage guys to go and do it, and it wouldn't be he would be there supervising. He'd be yeah, you guys, we got a restaurant here, got the back room. You guys go, have fun, do your thing.
Yeah. How much do you think that helped then on the court in terms of just having that camaraderie?
I mean, it helped a lot. I mean, RJ can speak for it. My rookie year, we were just a close team. Yeah. We did a lot of stuff together. I mean, win or lose, you know what I'm saying? We were just always tight, and I think that really kind of carried on from the years, as things kept going. That we just always we just enjoyed being around each other, I mean, whether we were a 47-win team or a 50-win team or whatever, we were always just close and hanging out.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, you guys, or a 73-win team.
I mean, either or, yeah. Everyone's always close.
It's so funny,
when they're on the spectrum.
No, but let's go back. Your first year in the league, right? Yeah. So you start, every game.
Yeah.
I'm constantly on you. I'm like, HB. I'm like, am I lying?
I used to dunk this, back in the day. I mean, that's back when
and I'm like, yo, HB, why'd you dunk that? He's like, man, I don't know. I just jumped and ran out of talent, right? I was like, and I used to always give HB shit. But the other part that I was like, I would always be like, yo, HB, you gotta shoot more. It's like, well, no, they didn't call a play for me, and I can't go to the offensive glass, and I can't do this, and I can't do that. I'm like, all those things, HB, I get that, but they're going to play you 30-plus minutes. Like, you have to find ways to just be ultra aggressive. One thing I want to know is, after that year, okay, I leave. How did you handle? You were all rookie team, top 10 draft pick. They make the playoffs for the first time. In X amount of years. We actually go to the second round, up 2-1 against San Antonio. Like, the dream kind of season that Golden State hadn't envisioned. You're the starting small forward. You actually went to power forward when David Lee went down. And then they bring in Andre Iguodala. Right? Now, Andre's my guy. Know Andre really well. But that's kind of crazy when you have a top 10 pick that, like, did everything that you expected. He helped lead your team to the playoffs, and then you go sign an Olympian and All-Star to a borderline max contract. I'm not saying that there was a little tension, but I knew I knew a couple of people in the circle, and I was like, how's HB handling that? And they were like, let's just say that the small forward is a very competitive position right now. How did you handle that?
Man, I mean, that was since I've been in the league, probably the second toughest moment that I've had. Just kind of, you're a rookie, you kind of really don't understand things. You're like, oh, okay, I've been playing well, I've been doing my job, right. But then kind of understanding the business of the NBA. Yeah, you're kind of like, oh, shoot, they just signed somebody over me. They just, and this guy's projected to start, this and the third, but two, it allowed me to just kind of also understand what like winning basketball takes. Like
a lot of talent.
A lot of talent. I mean, everyone's always talking about, I'll do whatever it takes for the team to win. I'll give up shots and I'll do that. But
it's one thing to say it, though, and one thing to do it.
You always envision yourself saying that as you're on the floor. So it's like, oh, no, I'll be playing. But like, oh, yeah, if I had to give a few shots. But then it's like, no, I'm going to come off the bench. Like, I've never come off the bench before. Then it's like the ego thing where it's like, you're like, your ego's on the ground. It's like, what am I doing? You're kind of like sitting up at night, like, should I even be in this league? Like, what? Yeah. I was starting last year. I got my spot taken from me, and then on top of that, I didn't play well. So that was just.
Oh yeah, you did not play well.
Yeah.
What? No.
I was awful.
No, but this is my guy. So whenever I would see him, I'd be like, yo, what the fuck are you doing, man? He was like, man, well, you got me coming off the bench. I'm like, that's fine. Basketball's still basketball, HB. And then on top of it, you guys lose in the first round. So like they bring in Andre, and they move you to the bench as 6-man, and then you guys lose in the first round. So like there is, we are all athletes, right? And we're all competitors. I'm not saying that there's like happiness in failure, but there's like, hey guys, we went to the second round when I was starting and I was a rookie. I'm not starting. We lose in the first round. Is anybody noticing anything? Right? We could be out. No one's listening.
Yeah, no one's listening except for the people that we give this to. Yeah. No, I mean, it was kind of one of those things. Like I remember after Game 7, it was just kind of like I think I only played like 14 minutes or something. I played awful per usual that season.
Yeah, I saw.
And it was just kind of you're just sitting there like, what am I gonna like? Like, how do I, bounce back from this, right? Because like at the end of the last year, I had a concussion, right? So like I never, at the end of my first year, so I never really like had time to like process season. I was like, oh, let me get through the concussion. Okay, cool. Let me work out. Let me get back into it. Go from there. And then that season, I was like, oh, man, what am I doing? Like,
was there a sense of nerves too when you got out there because your minutes were a little bit more limited in terms of just being able to showcase yourself?
No, I mean it was. So like when I was playing in the first unit, it was more of like you just feed off these guys, right? Like Steph and Clay, they're taking the lion's share of the shots. Yeah. So it was like myself, David Lee, and Bo. Well, David Lee was primary option too, but I was just trying to like feasting off them. I kick out open shots, some offensive rebounds, maybe an occasional post up when we're up 20 or down 20, just little things like that. Right. My second year in the second unit, it was like just ISO heavy.
Gotcha.
Like, every time I would get in, it was just like, oh, we're just giving my ISO. And I'm playing with a different group where it's like, the spacing was different. My understanding of, like, the game was not to a level at which I was ready to do that.
And you're a young player, too. So it's like you get thrust into a situation where it's like, okay, I'm a starter. I have 1 year of success. Okay, let me build on that success, right? Mm-hmm. That's what we went to the playoffs. Let me build on that success. Okay, I know this is what Steph does. I know this is what Clay does. I know what my unit does. And you're a young player. When you're in your, like, 7th year, 8th year, it just kind of becomes basketball where, okay, I'll figure it out so much quicker. So now you're with a different unit. You're now basically becoming a rookie again, right? It quote unquote, because you're going to the bench, you're playing with a different group of guys. You're trying
That's a good point.
You're trying to figure out things for a different standpoint. What did you think about the Coach Jackson firing? And I mean this because this was your coach. You had success, like that was your guy. The next year they fire Coach Jackson. And I can be really honest, Steve was texting me, and he was thinking about the Knick job, or he was thinking about the Golden State job. And I was like, and I had already been gone for a year, and I was like, dude, Steve, I don't know if that's the job you want. I don't know what they're really kind of doing over there. I was like, Mark Jackson had just gone to the playoffs 2 years in a row, right? They had been successful. They brought in Andre, and it was like, again, we can talk about Lacob and how much he likes to stick out his chest, how smart he was. But Lacob, I know the truth. We know about him trying to trade Clay for Kevin Love, right? And, they begged him not to do it. And they kept saying, like, look, Clay is special. Like, Clay and Steph together are special.
Absolutely.
And they're like, well, the shots, the 3-point shots per 100 possessions is the exact same as Kevin Love. And with the space, stop it, listen. And so it was like, again, there's some luck that goes into this. Had Steve came in and said, like, oh, yeah, let's get Kevin Love in here, right? Then Clay would be in Minnesota.
Things might have been different.
Things might have been different.
Very different, yeah.
And so like when they fired Mark Jackson, who was one of the most successful coaches to be fired in 3 years, right? Like, what were your thoughts?
We'd won. I don't know about the year before I got there, but it was 47 my rookie year and then 51. Because I remember, like, when I first got to the league, everyone was always like, oh, you got to get to 50 wins. 50 wins is like
it's a milestone.
It's a milestone, successful thing. And I think the Clippers had done it those 2 years as well. So we got to 51. And there had kind of been some stuff internally that had been kind of going on that kind of been brewing. So, like, when it happened, there was a part of me that was, like, shocked. Like, wow, this actually occurred. But then it's like, okay, then you can kind of look back in your memory and be like, okay, well, there were some certain instances here, there, some things that, some relationships that, probably weren't great that probably led to this. So.
But it's still very rare for a coach to show up, win 100 games in 2 seasons.
Absolutely.
As a first year, these are the first time coaching. And I remember, like, Mark, I love Mark. Like, I had Mark, played against Mark. He was like, he got his kind of broadcast start with the Yes Network. So he used to hang out with me and Jay Kidd and Rod Thorne, and he'd play cards with us. And he was doing the spade. Yeah, no. He was playing Tonk. He was playing Tonk and Boo-Ray. So we would play cards all the time. And this was like my 6th year. And this is, he got his first broadcast start there. I don't know if you were broadcasting before that, Mark. Don't quote me on that. But he did that. So, like, we kind of developed a relationship. Yeah. And then, so when he got the job in Golden State and I was there, I was like, Mark, you're my guy. I know I'm towards the end. I was at 12 years. I was like, whatever you need me to do. Like at that time, I was towards the end. But it was just, it's very curious to see a guy like doing that. And so it was tough. But then you guys get Steve. And
I think that's also a reason why the criticism and the backlash from that, like, literally, if you fire a coach that wins 51 games, the first thing you're thinking is, okay, well, this next coach to come in, they had to win a bunch of games or win a championship to even just to not, not get completely crushed from it.
Yeah.
And
Cleveland
it's hard shoes to step into.
Yeah. Well, Cleveland did the same thing. They had Blatt show up, but Blatt had not showed up to coach LeBron James. Blatt had showed up the coach of Cleveland Cavaliers with Kyrie, a young Tristan, all these guys, and the number one pick was going to be Andrew Wiggins. So he shows up to do this, and they're like, no, I hate to break this to you, but LeBron James is coming back, and he's going to be the coach, and you have to contribute to whatever he needs. And
that's a tough situation.
And it's a tough situation. Yeah, and so for them to fire him when you're the number one team in the Eastern Conference, they fired him because they just felt like we weren't getting enough out of it. And to bring T. Lue in, very similar. Mid-season is a little different.
100%.
Probably even worse. So, the only way after we went to the finals is for T. Lue to be successful is for him to win a championship.
Exactly.
And it's tough. So you get Steve, and you get Luke. Thank you.
Yeah.
How was Luke?
Dude, I mean, I loved Luke on staff, man. I mean, he was great. He took over the torch of playing one-on-one in the post.
Did he?
After he left.
Did he?
I mean, every day. I mean, the thing about Luke is he just sees the game a little differently.
He does.
You know what I'm saying? Like his ability to pass, his ability to communicate. I think he just has a great feel with guys and just in terms of like how to talk to them. I think that's
makes him a great coach.
Yeah, that's one of Coach Kerr's biggest strengths too. But just Luke, I mean, he's just great and he's hilarious. So
he's hilarious.
It was a good fit.
Yeah. So the listeners know, Luke was my roommate in college, and we used to have a lot of fun. But it was like, you have to be around Luke to know Luke, and once you're around him and you know him, you love him, right? Because 100%. You're just 100%. Yeah, and so it's like when LeVar Ball was doing all that, these guys don't want to play for him. I'm like, then you don't know Luke.
No, not at all.
No, you don't know Luke because if you know him and he's the most genuine, he's one of those people that me, I'm such a sarcastic asshole. I hate him. I hate him because everyone likes him, right? He's one of those ones that I think he liked me. Our friendship was based on I would say the smart ass dickheadish things that he wanted to say but he didn't say because everyone liked him and he liked the fact that everyone liked him.
So you just took that role.
I just took that role. I was like, okay, look, everybody will like you and then I'll be the friend that you have to explain, right? They're
exactly.
Why do you hang out with Richard so much? It's I don't know. He's just kind of funny. He just makes me laugh. But
it sounds just like him.
So that's why I said everyone kind of cracked joke. They're like, Luke was the slowest person in the world, just come out to national anthems barely, would work out guys, but not really, just in slow-mo.
Dude, he was great, though. And I think that's why it's when you hear reports about that, I don't like, guys don't like Luke, I'm just nah, I mean, there's no way.
There's no way.
There's no way.
And it's good because, people would hear me say this and think that I'm defending Luke because that's my guy when LeVar Ball would say these things. But, here we have you, a guy that had him as an assistant coach and stepped in and said, just no. Anyone that has Luke would play for Luke. Right? Because even if he's very similar to Steve, where it's even if he's wrong, he's not too stubborn. He's not too much of a dick. You'll understand his thought process. He's a very good communicator.
Exactly.
And just overall, just a good dude. And so, those are the type of guys that you want to play for. So, Mark gets fired. You guys win the Asterix championship, right?
Wow. I know RJ's got a big Cleveland fan base. I knew some Jazz were coming here.
Well, they're going to come. They're going to come. I just wanted to ease into this. So you have Kevin Love goes out, but I don't count Kevin Love going out because that happened early. So whatever team you show up in the finals with is the team you show up in the finals with.
Yeah.
And then Kyrie goes off, has a good, I think, first game. Then he gets hurt in the second game.
Yeah, he got hurt in the first game.
He got hurt in the first game, right?
I mean, you were there.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't on that team. Think about it. I didn't. I was. Yeah, I'm 1-1 versus Golden State, as you are 1-1 versus Cleveland.
I feel like you were there the first year.
No, I was still in Dallas. So I wasn't there that first year. So you guys go, and Cleveland's up 2-1, and I'll never forget this. So I text Luke, right? and Luke, and I have no affiliation whatsoever to Cleveland, right? Yeah. I just want to preface this statement. I have no affiliation, right? Yeah. But I'm watching this because, again, it's like Luke is my guy, but I'm like, this motherfucker's got 2 championships. He's about to win a fucking another one. I can't stand this guy, right? Yeah. Right? I can't stand this dude, right? This guy's going to have 3 championships. I'm going to have 0.
So what do you text him?
So he's texting me, and they go down 2-1, right? Delhi has that amazing game, right? Yeah. He has an amazing game. And I texted Luke. I'm like, Luke, don't stress. Steph is built for this. Steph does this every day, every game. Love Delhi to death. That's my brother. I was like, Delhi's not built for this, right? And I say it from the standpoint of like, look, he had 1 good game, had 2 good games. Yeah, it's going to be tough. That's the thing about the playoffs in the NBA. It's tough to do this over 7 games. To maintain this over 7 games. And I was like, dude, you show up with a smile, a lipper, and you just say, hey, look, we're going to be just fine, right? We're going to be just fine. Right? Yeah. And so, like, I'm sitting here rooting for Golden State, like, because you guys are my guys. Luke and Steve are on the staff.
What about Q?
What? And Q, obviously Q's my guy. You know, I love Q. Yeah. And so I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm sitting here rooting for you guys, wanting you guys to win. And I'm just kind of like instilling confidence in Luke, like, dude, like, you guys are fine. You guys are going to get this done. Like, don't worry, blah, blah, blah. You need to go to Cleveland. You need to do this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm watching every game dissecting him. And so you guys go on to win that series, obviously with an asterisk because of Kyrie.
I wouldn't say obviously with an asterisk.
What do you mean?
I mean, is your championship an asterisk because Draymond didn't play Game 5?
No, but people like to bring
that up. Because people were complaining in the post-game press conference about it?
But people like to bring that up. We're going to get to that next year. Don't worry. We're still on this year.
Why it got to be an asterisk? I don't hear the peanut gallery over here agreeing that it's an asterisk.
She's from Cleveland, so be careful when you start talking about the peanut gallery. Iris, we got you. We got you. We'll talk later. So
cut the mics.
It's done.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. So
keeping him employed on this podcast.
We're gonna keep going.
Go ahead.
So Kyrie goes out. Do you guys think it's in the bag?
No.
Okay.
I mean, LeBron had maybe one of the greatest finals performances. I mean,
yeah,
ever.
He's a bad boy. Andre goes and wins the MVP.
Yep.
They balling. That small ball, the death lineup. And so one of the things that I try to tell people, because I was here in Dallas when you guys did that small ball lineup, and you guys were doing it like at different times in the game, and you would switch everything and keep everybody in front, Draymond, whatever. And you guys call it the death lineup, which it was death lineup. It was a death lineup. But one of the things that teams struggle with is like, you don't understand, and this is why I have so much respect for Steve, so much respect. Because it's frustrating when you're around, not frustrating, but I've been on so many different teams and you see it's like, yo, you're going to try and play small today against Golden State, but they practice it every day, right? Like that's not their normal lineup, but they put this death lineup in, and if you haven't practiced it, you haven't played against it, you're not ready for it. And so it was like you guys, I remember we were playing here in Dallas. I don't know who was out, but I got to start, so I was guarding you, right?
How was that?
Oh, it was great. Just like all the time.
Just all the time. Because I'm out on the court in a very competitive way, but it's more of like cracking jokes, right?
He cracks a lot of jokes.
But it was like, I remember like you guys were up 20. You guys were up 20 in the fourth, and then you guys went to the so-called death lineup. And the reason why you guys went to the death lineup was like, okay, we have a cushion. Let's work on this. Let's get film on this. Let's make sure that all of these guys get practice so that when we need it in an extreme situation, we're not putting guys into a situation that they're not ready for. They've been practicing this on and off during the year. So, that was one of the things that, like, when you guys went to that lineup against, Cleveland and, you guys won that championship. But I digress. You guys win that championship year. Kyrie's out. Kevin's out. They're 2 of their top players. That would basically be like you guys winning the championship without Clay and, let's say, without you, right? Like, if you guys showed up in the finals and Clay's out, you're out, it's going to be a very, very tough win.
It'd be tough.
So the next year, did you guys have a bit of your chip on your shoulder when you guys had that 73-win season? Like, oh, people are kind of talking a little shit, saying, like, we had a lot of help to win this championship.
And we're going to prove them wrong.
We're not prove them wrong, but more just like, oh, okay. we're still only average age of 24.
So it was crazy. So we, it had been all this attention this whole year about 73. Are you guys going for it? Are you not going for it?
Mm-hmm. Luke was coaching the first 20. What did you guys start off, 25-0?
26-0. Lost in Milwaukee. So I think it was like the last 3 or 4 games this season. Coach Kerr came in. He said something along the lines of, look, let's just, play these 2 games. If we win these, we'll see how it goes. I think it was like a game in Memphis. If we win in Memphis, see how it goes, then we come back home. End up getting 73. So then the first 2 series that we played were just not good basketball.
No.
I mean, I think
you guys were you guys were drained. People don't understand that's draining when you have that 73 hanging over you, or 72 more. You guys, it was in your reach. And one thing that I remember, Luke, we were talking during that season, and that San Antonio won 67 or 68
you didn't
games
hear
a year.
about it.
No, you didn't hear about it because you guys were eclipsing. But it was like, dude, we have 69 wins and we only have a game and a half lead, right? Like that was the thing. So a lot of you guys continuing to win and play your guys is like, yo, you guys won home court over San Antonio, but people don't know that San Antonio broke their record for best season ever for them, which is a big statement in San Antonio. You guys won 73. I think they won 68. So you guys weren't playing all the way for no reason. Like, you guys had a reason to continue to fight because if you wanted home court, you needed to keep winning games.
Absolutely.
So it was when you guys got to the playoffs, like you said. I'm sorry, continue.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the first 2 series, we were not playing well. I think there was some stat in the Portland series. It was like we'd only led by for 8 minutes the entire series. I mean, they had been up in each and every game, and we battled back. And Steph was battling injury, so things didn't really come together until.
No, I'm trying to get her to open the bottle of wine. I'm sorry. Yeah, God, and the opener's right here. I'm sorry.
Doing my duty.
Yeah,
these Cleveland people can't stay off the wine.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's the alcohol.
Anyway,
continue.
Under Cleveland podcast under my name.
Yeah.
So then the first 2 series don't go well, and then we run up against OKC, and that's when things got dicey.
Thick.
Yeah.
So you guys go down 3-1, right?
Yeah.
I know that's not the best number, but you guys go down 3-1, and what's going on? What's going through you guys' head? You guys are the defending champions. You're down 3-1.
Yeah, and even just leading up to that point, after you've had the season, you've had to start all of a sudden playing these series and not be playing, to your point, good basketball. Like, what mentally is going through your head through all this?
I mean, mentally, you're just trying to. It's not stay sharp, but you're trying to maintain that same edge, that same zeroed in focus that you had the year before, right? Because the year before, it's like everything's new, everything, first time going to the second round, first time going to the Western Conference Finals, first time going to the finals, everything's a brand new experience. This year, kind of we kind of won the first 2 series. Maybe this team will lay down, maybe we can get past them, and then all of a sudden you're in a situation where. I don't mean this in any type of
you can please be disrespectful.
Offense, RJ, or anything like that. But my opinion is that OKC was probably the best team in the playoffs that year. I mean, they were rolling, and I mean, we just we didn't have an answer for them. I mean, if Clay doesn't have that crazy
in Game 6, right?
Game 6. I mean, if he doesn't have that just crazy game, I mean, they're going to the finals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean that team. I mean, the way they were built. I mean, they were on. Rebounding, scoring. I mean, they were doing it all.
They did it all, yeah.
No, that was it. Okay. So you guys win that series, right? You win that series. You guys come back. And I'm going to be really honest. We wanted OKC, right? But this is why. And I'm going to tell you, your death lineup, that was a special lineup. It was one of the special lineups in the history of the game of basketball. It was. Elite shooters, switching everything defense, great size. You guys did a good job of hiding Steph, when you would switch onto a big and then you would switch out so he could get back onto a small, right? That. I'm not saying anything when I say hide Steph, so anybody that wants to screen it, but that was part of it.
I mean, Andre and Draymond were also really unique in the fact that Andre is a much more versatile defender than I think people give him credit for.
And same with Draymond.
Draymond's able to literally play center.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's on both sides.
About that a lot.
You know what I'm saying? It's it's unique. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Just in that lineup.
The basketball IQ that is needed for that.
Yeah.
Like, you can't have one guy that's floaty. You need to have 5 guys that have an extremely high IQ, and you guys did.
Exactly.
So part of this is the reason why we wanted OKC, and one, your def lineup was special, but the reason why we wanted OKC is because we had shooting bigs. So Kevin, Channing, right? Like, your def lineup eliminates them, right?
Yeah.
Eliminates that advantage of, like, okay, you got to have a big that's picking in the roll. Now they're closing out to Bron. Or, I mean, now when Bron and Kyrie drives and the bigs help, now you're closing out to Channing, who's a dead eye shooter. You're closing out to Kevin Love. Those are the advantages that are completely taken away when you have 5 guys that are switching small, so there is no advantage given. Like a pick and roll, now you guys just switch it and then you just adjust behind the ball.
Exactly.
So that's why we wanted OKC. Mm-hmm. We would have blasted OKC, right? Because you guys didn't have bigs that could shoot that way, right? Like, that's not what your advantage was. Our advantage was, like, we were shot the ball. And anybody that wants to talk shit, go look at the Atlanta series, right? When we broke the NBA record for, like, 3-pointers made in a game, 3-pointers made in a half, 3-pointers made in a series. And
Toronto series.
And Toronto series, right? Like, because our versatility. Like, if you guys want to go small, you could go with me, Delly, Bron, Kyrie, JR. Like, we had Shump. We had a lot of small. Yeah. But if you wanted to go big, we had 2 of the best shooting bigs in the league. Channing is probably the best shooting 5. If you don't want to say, like, Dirk, right? Probably Dirk and him. Yeah. And then Kevin is one of the best shooting 4s in the game. So it was like our advantage and versatility was one of the things that helped us. So we get you guys. You guys bust our ass those first 2 games. Oh, it was like child abuse out there. Honestly, it was child abuse out there. And
Game 3 was the missed opportunity
for you guys.
For us, that was the game where.
But we blasted you guys. Game 3.
But we didn't come out with the same. We weren't the same teams in game 1 and game 2. It was like we were like, oh, we're up 2-0, maybe
we can take it. So,
You're right. You guys did not come out with the same intensity, and we came out like gangbusters. Like, we came out like,
because you knew
this
that was
not happening.
Because
Kevin was out.
Well, exactly.
So Kevin was out with a concussion, so I got the start. So we kind of, I want to say, we kind of slowed.
Ellie, you heard that? He just said, I was starting, so I was the difference.
I didn't say I was the difference. I was more.
I subtly heard that.
Don't you just love how he like walks? He like thinks he's walking around subjects, but he's actually just going like straight for it.
He's like, Kevin played games.
He's like, no offense, but
when
here
he was out, I stepped in and we blasted you guys. But go ahead.
Let me know when you guys are done. No. Again, everything's leading into a story, right? And so I'm saying so.
We're gonna get there.
It helped us. It helped us adjust to the def lineup because now we have a small, and Tristan being the 5, right? Tristan is basically like a Draymond on the defensive end, right? Where he can switch 1 through 5 on the defensive end.
Come on, man.
What? T-Top cannot switch 1 through 5.
You gonna say Tristan's the same defender Draymond is? Come on, man.
I'm not. I said he is like that, right?
Like
that. I'm saying we can switch 1 through 5 that gives you that option. Okay, I'm not saying he's the same defender as Draymond. I'm not going to disrespect. But it's like the same thing. Look, Draymond has a lot of abilities, but T-Top's ability to get offensive rebounds, T-Top's ability to roll and get dunks. Everybody has their own special.
Okay.
But the ability to switch 1 through 5. Right? Yeah. That's a little different when you have Kevin and Tristan out there trying to do it, or or Channing and Tristan, or what I'm saying? It's a little different.
Yeah.
Dick. So, no, but I'm saying, so we get that win. It was a missed opportunity. Like, you guys did not come out with the same fire, and we came out pissed off.
Yeah.
Right? We had just got beaten by the most points anybody had ever had in the first 2 games of the series. You guys, whatever. I don't care about you guys. So, game 4, Game 4. We're up 8 in the 3rd quarter, and you guys battle back. You guys kind of started to get your fire back. Yeah. You guys fought back, and that for us was the missed opportunity. Like, for us, we looked at that as the missed opportunity. Yeah. Like, I was furious. Like, I remember sitting in the room, and Griff was in there, our GM, and Cobra, who's our equipment manager. I'm sitting in there, and he was just like, how the fuck did we give that away? I was like, dude, we made some mistakes, and you guys were special because even if you do it right, you can still score. Because, like, you guys have so many just elite players, and it's like, even if you do it right, like, you're one of the few teams, and we made mistakes, which killed us. So there was that little tussle at the end of the game, and I didn't think anything because Draymond had already been kicking people in the nuts and shit like that. He'd already been doing that. So
come on, man.
What? So okay. So 2 days between the finals, right? First game, first day, we get this thing that says people are reviewing the tussle that Draymond and Bron had got into.
I mean, after the post game press conference, of course they would.
What do you mean after the post game press conference?
Come on, man.
Talk to me.
There was way too much time spent about that incident in y'all's post game press conference. Of course they're gonna look at it.
Well, yeah, it's the NBA Finals. They're normally you have 50 people looking at all the teams, 30 teams in the league.
Now you have
all those people looking at 2 teams.
It's okay. Go ahead.
No, I want to. That's what I'm saying. You're the first Golden State Warrior I've had on here, so I really want to hear this shit. Right?
No, I'm just saying. I think there was a point made to talk about it.
Yeah,
a lot.
Yeah, that's what happens in the playoffs.
To really, embellish what had went on.
Embellish. Okay, so this is what I'm saying.
Was there any contact made, RJ?
With his groin area? No, my point is this. The Steven Adams thing, you guys were down 3-1. Had he been suspended in that game, which look...
That's a different scenario.
But again, that's a different scenario. But Kobe got suspended for doing extra stuff. Flinging his arms. I remember he hit Manu in the face, and they ended up suspending Kobe. That was one of those things that, the rule is when you're doing a little too much. They call it a basketball play, but what we call it is he's doing a lot of extra shit, right?
So you're saying that was a makeup call for the Steven Adams? I'm
not saying that. This is what I'm going to say. I'm saying the Steven Adams thing, they basically were like, Draymond, no more of this shit, right? No more. Because if Steven Adams, were to miss a game or something like that because someone swipes down the ball and Draymond wants to fling his arm and kick and swing his legs, that's extra, right? That's the extra shit. No different than what Jaja Pachulia does. A little extra shit, right?
Very extra.
Right? Very extra, right? And so they probably gave him a warning. It was like, dude, you got one more technical and you're going to be suspended or one more flagrant or whatever. So just, Draymond, eliminate the extra shit. That's I'm guessing. I don't know, but that's probably what was had. So when then that happened again, and they see a little swing and a little hey, what the fuck, they probably view it as extra shit. Fair?
Might be fair. To me, if you don't suspend him for that, you can't suspend him for what happened in the finals.
But there's an accumulation of things, though. If you give a guy a warning, and then he does it again the very next series, there's something similar where it's just too much.
I mean, to me, it was definitive. I mean, the contact made on the Steven Adams play, that was definitive, right?
Very definitive.
So if you say, okay, you can't get that a warning. It's either okay, we're not calling, or you calling it.
Yeah.
So
no,
they say,
I agree, yeah.
So they're like, okay, we're not suspending you. Then you can't come back because of who it was, which is why I said
it's called a pattern of behavior.
If that wasn't LeBron, is he suspended? And I want you to answer that honestly. Let's say that's Channing. Let's say Draymond and Channing get into it. Is Draymond suspended because what he did to Channing?
Okay, if that was you and Channing, was there even a conversation?
The same play?
Exact same play.
No, but I'm talking about with Draymond and with Channing. Are they even discussing it?
No. I agree. I agree with that, right? 100% agree, right? And so I agree with that. But there's also a pattern of behavior. When you put yourself in this position in a consistent, you put yourself at the mercy of people like the league. And was it David Stern or Adam Silver? David Stern? Silver. Was it Silver at the time?
Silver, yeah.
Yeah. I never won a championship with Stern. I never really fucked with him. I'm just kidding, David. I love you. So, okay. So
let's move on. Okay.
You find out he's suspended, right? And it's funny because Clay's like, well, I just think Bron got his feelings hurt. But mind you, remember, I don't know, again, we're basketball historians. So when Timo set that tough screen, he's like, oh, well, I think it was a dirty play. Do you remember when he said that? and then 3 days later, he's like, well, I guess he got his feelings hurt. It's like, wait, Clay, you can't be a hypocrite here. You were just crying about somebody in a dirty play on a screen. On a screen, you're crying you got a dead leg, and now you're calling saying that Bron got his feelings hurt.
I mean, my thing is the reason why I think those plays are different. And once again, I go back to this: there was no contact made on this play
on the
Draymond Bron play. So
there was a graze.
A graze,
but if
it was a graze, he would have fell on the floor like he did in Toronto.
In Toronto, I don't really remember this.
Oh, you don't remember that?
Remember that?
You don't remember that when Tristan bumped into him? He fell on the ground.
Oh, yeah, but did he get grazed there? But
by his own teammate.
But when
then he was flopping.
But listen, everybody knows, like, with the nuts, like guys like to like fuck with their friends and like nut tap them. Like all it takes is that little, that little nut, that little flinch nut tap, and all of a sudden it's like, you feel that, and you're like, oh, you got me.
I don't know how you do this podcast with him. I'm not going to slow it down, though. I'm not going to slow it down.
Okay.
Go ahead. Let's continue with the story.
Okay, we'll continue with the story. So you guys
get
get suspended. What's the conversation on your guys' side? What's the conversation in your locker room when you find out that Draymond gets suspended?
I mean, from the strategic standpoint, it's, how do you just make up for that? You know what I'm saying? Because
he's an important player.
Yeah, I mean, just as...
How angry were you guys, though?
I mean, we were pissed. But like I said...
You're up 3-1.
No, it wasn't that, but you have to also look at the people involved with it, right? Look who's talking post-game. Okay, now the league's going to look into it with even more passion and vigor than what they were already going to do. So it happened, but...
Vigor is a great word, by the way. Continue.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's not like we were surprised based off who was involved. Yeah. So, it's like figuring out how do you go and, replace Draymond, because it's like, okay, just like you were saying earlier, Clay and Steph are very special together. Well, the chemistry between Steph and Draymond is special too, right? High pick and roll, teams double Steph. Draymond gets it. Draymond's ability to be able to pass, create all that type of stuff. So, it put us definitely in a tough situation, just not having him. Mm-hmm. Just his presence defensively, our small ball lineup. Just a lot of things that...
he's the glue in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
100%.
So that game, game 5 on the road, right?
No, it was at home.
No, for us. For us. I don't care about you guys. It's on the road. It's on the road for us.
He's always talking with
the 26 NBA Finals is brought to you through the eyes of Richard Jefferson.
I just want to hear your perspective on some of this shit. So you guys...
But actually, you just can hear mine.
So we have a battle. You guys it's a full-on battle, game 5, at your place, right? Like, you guys had only lost, 4 games at home, right? And we knew we were going to have to win one. And I'll tell you from our side, this is what it was. No bullshit. We were struggling. Like, that game 4 loss hurt us a lot. Like, it hurt our spirits because we knew that was the 1 and 2 games weren't us. Game 3 was us, and then game 4,
you had battled.
We had battled, and then it just didn't go our way. But had we had split one game, in Golden State, had we had even put up a fight there, we probably would have felt better. But ultimately, we didn't feel like that was us. So to be down 3-1, it was tough. And I remember saying this, right? Because we beat you guys pretty handily in game 3, right? And I think we beat you by 30. I'm not bragging. I'm just merely saying facts. And so I remember...
Was it 30?
What? It was 26. It was bad. It was the biggest...
You said 30, facts.
Yeah, it was, biggest turnaround in NBA history from 1 loss to 1 win. And so my whole thing was, and I just got on the plane. I was like, we needed a break, and we got a break. We did. We needed a break. We need something to happen for us to give us to get us back to life, to have that beep, because we were flatlining. We were like, beep. We were struggling. So we get a little bit of life. We get a little bit of life, right? And we know our task is still tough. We're going into Golden State. The energy is going to be high. You guys have a chance to win it on your home floor. So, Bron and Kyrie just put on something special, 82 points between the two of them, right? Yeah. Those guys are special. Kyrie, my guy, a 40-point performance, first 2 teammates to go for 40 in a game. But that's what it took. Think about it.
This is I'm having a conversation with Elias over here. This is just
no. It's the happiest moment of my life. I remember details. Okay, so we win that game, and then Draymond's back game 6, right? Mm-hmm. Your thoughts are game 6. Channing says, dude, I knew these guys thought they were going to win because they're bringing backpacks. They're bringing all this stuff. They had their goggles. They're ready. They're doing all this other stuff, right? So you guys were ready. You guys were expecting, okay, we got Draymond back. We got our team back. We let one get away game 5, right? But we're going to win it here in Golden State. Win it here just like they did. And I'll say this. So Luke and I, one of his really good friends is Nate Staggs. Nate Staggs lives across the street from me in Hermosa Beach. Have you met Nate?
I think I have met Nate.
And so Nate is a good friend of mine. He went to high school with Luke. He played baseball at Arizona. So I just randomly see Nate at game 5. I see Nate randomly at game 6, right? Oh, wow. So I'm like, okay, Nate's only coming out here so he can celebrate, when they win a championship. So I know that your guys' aura, your guys' fire is still like, oh, well, we're going to win this. So you guys go to game 6, we come out like gangbusters again. And my thing was this. I knew game 5 was important at your place because it's like we needed a break, because I truly believed that there was no way we were going to lose at home. I was like, there's no way we're going to lose at home. We let one get away in game 4. Our fans, this was the last game for the season. Our fans stood up the whole game.
Yeah, that was unbelievable.
They stood up the whole game. That was, to this day, it was the best crowd I've ever seen in my entire life on any level. So we win that, and now it's game 7. All the marbles, game 7. Bron always says, best phrase in sports is game 7. What are your thoughts going into game 7?
I mean, we knew. So at that point, we knew you guys had the momentum, right? Mm-hmm. Bron's balling, Kyrie's balling. We had that missed opportunity in Game 5, and
Bogut's out now too. I'm sorry, I digress. Bogut hurt his knee.
Yeah. So going back to Game 5. So we're getting ready for the game, whatever, and it's like, look, obviously we're missing Draymond, but you have that
we're gonna do it.
Yeah, you have that we're going to do it mentality. Just they're bringing the champagne, they have everything set up. You're kind of you're trying to stay
he's
into
next door at the A's game, waiting to come over to party.
Yeah, so you're trying to stay in the moment, whatever. And obviously that was a missed opportunity, right? Game 6, we're like, okay, we're fully back, we're 100% healthy.
We got this.
We got this. Bogues goes down.
In game 5? I think game 5.
Game 5, he goes down, right? So not 100% healthy, but we got Draymond back, missing Bogues. Tough situation. Let's see what we can do. So we lose that game as well. So we're coming back for game 7, and it's like this is our last shot, right? Kind of the message before game 5. This is a great opportunity for us, win, close it out. Game 6, okay, we blew an opportunity. Okay, let's do this time. Now game 7, it's this is what it is. It's let's put, the past, 2 games behind us. And I was in an awful shooting slump at this time, right?
I didn't want to bring that up. We were just talking basketball, but keep going.
Yeah, I mean, it's
you're my guy. I'm not here to crush you. I just want to tell stories.
No question. So when coach is put the past behind you, it's just this is kind of what it is, right? Because everyone, people are defined in the finals, and people are defined at these highest moments, right? And it's just you're just fair, live. This is a live, you're just missing the mark. Shots you make, can't make them. You're spending just hours in the gym. You're watching tape, doing all this stuff.
Well, and you've talked about this too, just how exhausting.
Oh, it was the most stressful moments of my entire life. Now you're you already had one in the bag, right? I'm an older player. I'd been to the finals 2 other times when I was younger. Been to had great series. Lost to Detroit when they won it. Lost to Miami when they won it. I had some really good teams, and so it was for me. I'm you're 15, and I'm dude, I might not ever get another shot. So and I lost in the national championship game too. So I was sitting here motherfucker. I don't know if I can do this shit again. But, you guys get back to game 7, and
so we get to game 7. So it's it's now or never, right? And I think it was either a 2-point game, either the 2-minute mark or the 3-minute mark.
In the first half?
No. Okay. I'll let Richard do the narration of game 7.
Okay, so let's go back.
Yeah.
It's going back and forth, right? It's going back and forth, and everybody's kind of feeling it out. Everyone's super locked in. This was the best game of this entire series because almost every game was a blowout. 1 and 2 was a blowout. Game 3 was a blowout. Game 4, you guys won. You guys were up 10 in the 4th, so we couldn't overcame that. Game 5, we were kind of up 8 or 9, so that was then. Game 6 was a blowout. Game 7 is the best game of the series by far. So it's back and forth, back and forth. I remember right before it was a 2-point game, and then right before halftime, you guys made a little bit of distance. You guys go in up 8, going into halftime. So I'm sitting here stressed out of my fucking brain, right? I'm sitting here head down, what the fuck? I can't go out there. I've seen San Antonio celebrate. I watched Shaq and Kobe celebrate on my home floor. I'm just fuck, I can't. Even I lost it. How about this? You'll like this. I lost to Steve in this last game ever. right? So he was on the San Antonio team that I lost to my second year in the league.
Oh, wow.
Right? Yeah. And he played great in the game 6 because he hit a couple of threes, and so we couldn't double team Tim anymore. And then Tim started murdering us, but Steve's just standing in the corner because you cannot leave the greatest 3-point shooter at the time in NBA history.
Yeah.
And so that's what it was. So we go in game 6, right? Or game 7. We're down 6. We come out. JR catches fire, right? He really would have been up and down, hadn't done too much, but he catches fire in the second half. The next thing you know, you're up by 8. We're up by 8. So like the emotional roller coaster was like down by 6, I'm ready to cry. Up by 8, I'm like, oh my God, we actually have a chance. And then the fourth quarter happens, and like you said, it kind of starts to even out and it's tied.
Yeah, it was evened out. It was probably, I think it was like 4 or something. 4 or like maybe like 3:50 or whatever on the clock. It was like a 2-point game maybe. And I mean there's some there's some tough plays in there and some, obviously I'm not going to rehash those. But I don't remember the details of it. I just remember the back and forth and blah blah blah.
Yeah, you remember it.
Yeah, I remember it.
Tell us about it.
No, we're not going. I just remember we had, I think it was like the last play that kind of sealed the game. It was a defensive play. You guys had defensive play.
The block?
No,
it wasn't even that.
Steph was dribbling up top, and we're trying to.
He tries to go around the back.
We're trying to do something, and
he throws the around the back pass.
No, I think like he passed it to Draymond in the corner. Draymond passed it back. He's trying to do something. Either we got to
switched on to him.
Huh?
No. This was before that. Those were the last 2 plays. She was at game 7. It's okay.
It was just. I mean, it was a play. We had a chance to get a shot, and we couldn't get it. And then at that point, the game was over.
No. You're not getting off that easy, right? So, no. I'm saying so. He had that around the back pass to Clay out of bounds, right? That kind of was like, okay, back and forth. No one's scoring, right? Yeah. No one's scoring. And you guys get that steal, Bron gets that block, right? The infamous block. Mm-hmm. And then Kyrie, ISO, blah, blah. Like, I'm on the court at this time. I have no idea. Like, I'm full on, like, blacked out mode. Like, I'm on the court. Kyrie hits the shot. And then we, like you said, a couple of stops. Kev has an amazing, defensive, moment against Steph. And we win a championship. Now, no team had ever come back from 3-1. We don't need to relive that shit. But I just want to know, like, I'm being serious. What was it walking back to that locker room? What was it? Because I'm not. This is purely for the fans. Like, I've been in that locker room. Yeah, I've been in that locker room. I've lost twice in the finals, the national champ. I've been in that locker room, but. What was it going back? Like, you guys had and still had one of the greatest seasons in the history of sports, not just basketball. You guys cracked what was thought to be an unbreakable record.
And you're getting to game 7.
And, yeah. So, like...
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's the toughest moment of my basketball career at any stage or level. Probably ever will be. Just because... I mean, there's only been so many teams that have won back-to-back championships.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. To lose on your home floor was tough. I mean, people talk about 3-1. How was that? I mean, yeah, that's one thing. But I mean, just to lose a game 7 on your home floor, that's another thing. 3, to have such a big role in that. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of times, like, people play, they. You win a game, you lose a game, but like not many people can say, hey, man, I really could have had an imprint, or I had an imprint on that game. It's kind of just, you went with the flow. It was like, no, I had opportunities where, I really could have impacted and, I didn't. Yeah. And then the fourth was, and this was probably the part that I cried the most about, was the fact that team would never be together again.
Yeah.
Because it's always one thing where, even after every season, right, that same collection of 15 guys will never be on the court again together.
Yeah.
Like, you never would be able to come back.
There's only 4 guys left on the Cavs team that won a championship 2 years later. Like,
exactly.
Yeah,
and maybe know that. 4, 6 probably on the Warriors now from 15 teams. So knowing that group of guys would never be together again, I think that's on top of everything else, was one of the most difficult things to kind of just reckon with. Of like, we got to this point. We literally got to the last game possible of any NBA season, Game 7 of the finals, and just to come up short, I think that was for sure the toughest.
Yeah, and like it was so weird for me because like you guys were my guys. Like I was rooting for you guys. I had Steve. Like the year you guys won it, I had Steve over there. I had Q over there. I had Luke. I knew all of you guys. Like I'm rooting for you guys, right? And so then to go on the other side and be in Cleveland and be like, finding ways to be like, I fucking hate these guys. I hate these guys because these guys are stopping me from getting. And like, it was just even funny. Like even Jaron Collins, right? Like I played with Jason. Like I played with Jason for so many years. I knew Jaron's wife Elsa because she was going to Columbia law school when me and Jason were in New York. So she used to hang out with us all the time. Yeah. So there were so many people on that staff and like on that team that I connected with. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, here I am, like fighting for my professional sports life. Yeah, take a drink. And so it was. Bittersweet is not the right word. It's more of like that was. I would have much preferred beating a team I fucking hated. Right? It was really, really hard. Like Luke. Like I remember Luke after we lost to you guys. The first 2 games, he comes to Cleveland. And so Luke is texting Channing and I. Like, Luke played with both me and Channing. And so he sent us a text, and then, again, in Luke's voice, he's like, what, are we just not going to hang out the whole time I'm in Cleveland? It's like, motherfucker, you're up 2-0. Wow. Right? You're up 2-0. Like, you won 3 championships. Is it 3? 3. Yeah, he's won 3 now. And it was just like, dude, like, no, I'm not talking to you. Like, I can't have any friend there. I can't have anything that can lower my level of engagement even a little bit. Absolutely. And so, that part was special. And even somebody was like Luke, did you go say what's up to Richard? He's like, well, at first I wasn't, but then I saw him crying. And it was just like, you had to. And I remember the first time I saw Luke, because we live, a mile from each other. He lives in Hermosa Beach, as you know. And first thing I said to him is like, as a brother, I'm like, what's going on, champ? And he was like, what's going on, champ? And like just that joy, like he knew as a player what it meant to me, right? And like how big it was for me, because he knew like as a basketball player, and you're very similar guys, like you'll do whatever it takes, right? Like you're a team guy. Like all-stars, that's special. But to win a championship, it puts you in an exclusive club, and it puts you in an exclusive place that's all you want. Like I'm taking less money and I'm bouncing around.
You're defined by it. You know what I mean?
Because like I said, the year before it gives you perspective, right? You just see like what it's like to like get there, right? So if you had never it's tough to lose the finals, but once you've won it and you know what that experience is like, I got close, but I never got there.
It's an addiction.
But once you get there and then like you lost against like everything that you could have wanted from a basketball perspective was right there. Yeah. And so you're just like...
There's an addiction to it. Like, and once you experience, like, I'm the last team standing, blah, 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 and that had been my goal for so many years, is that, okay, that summer, you're a free agent, right? You had just won 73 games. NBA record. You're how old?
24.
24.
Just turned 24.
You guys had been to the playoffs 3 straight years, gotten better every single year. You got a brand new coach. You won a championship. You're this. And then the Kevin Durant talk, right? So okay, now, and what most people don't understand is you had already been through it with Andre. And again, it's not leaving the team, but it's like, no, like, we're going to bring in Andre here, and then Harrison might have to move to the bench. So it's like now all of a sudden the Kevin Durant talk. Like, had you heard that conversation all year?
Yeah, when did you hear that?
Yeah, so yeah, I'd heard that talk. That had been happening for
months.
Oh, yeah, months. Yeah. Months leading up, and even to the point where it was like after we beat them, it was like almost like intensified. Like, he might leave OKC now. So.
But I'm saying, was it something that you registered, or was it when you became a free agent, you were like, no, they're really going to go after Kevin Durant? And you knew that would mean the end for you.
Oh, for sure.
Well, obviously. A couple of guys knew that because of the salaries and stuff like that. But it was like, was there any, like, yo, look at what we just did? Like,
Bob had, and like I said, there's two different dynamics going here, right? Like, one is the fact that, like I said, the way I played in the finals, right? So then, like, people, you've seen what it's like. If you play well in the finals, I mean, in the playoffs, even in the playoffs, people they just run with it, right?
You can double your salary.
They just assume that, like, you are just, 3 times better than what you are.
Yeah.
But if you play poorly, it's like this is what he's really made of, right? So when I went into my exit meeting, and I have a lot of respect and admiration for Bob.
Yeah.
One, for what he does, what he's built with the Warriors, but two, he's direct. He's straightforward. So he pretty much told me like we're going after him. We're confident we're going to sign him, and that's kind of what it is.
And that's so much respect, right? Because as a player, you want to know, like, don't have me get the rug taken out my legs. Like, just let me know. Yeah, communicate. And but truth be told, had Kevin Durant said no, they would have brought you back, right? And it wasn't. I know this from a Kevin standpoint, and I don't know him personally, but I know it wasn't an easy decision, right? It wasn't an easy decision because he knew the flack he was going to take. He knew all the bullshit that was going to come with it. But what were your thought process? Did you have like a defensive moment where you're like, yo, we just won 73 games. We just won a championship before. I'm 24 years old. We can do this for the next 5 years and be the most dominant team, and we can win another 2 or 3 championships.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was thinking. I mean, in my head, I was like, look, if we bring everyone back, if we do it, because I mean, it would kind of been rumored like, look, if we go back to back, Joe's gonna bring the whole team back for a 3-peat.
Yeah, just as he should.
So when we lost, you knew they were gonna shake things up. But I had the meeting with Bob. I called Coach Kerr. And he just was straight with me. He was like, look, when a player of this caliber comes up, he's interested. We think we can get him. They're gonna put all the energy, all the effort, bring out all the stuff to sign him. So once again, I'm saying, a lot of respect for Coach Kerr. To be honest, to be upfront about that. So I mean, I understood what they were doing. And being a restricted free agent is a little different because it's kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, if we sign him, then you're free. If we don't, we're going to sign you back.
Yeah.
If we don't get him, but we wanted you though,
it's like as a player you can understand, right? Like as a player you can understand. You're like, look, I'm Harrison Barnes. I'm this. I'm good. I'm a very good player. I've actually probably conceded some of the opportunities that I could have to go to another level. Yeah. But if you can bring in Kevin Durant, who is
top 5 player in the league, all that type of
one of the best players of all time, then I get it. It doesn't make it any easier, and especially when your teammates are signing up for it too. When
that was tough.
That's the part that I want to talk about.
Part?
That was tough. So we. So I mean, these guys. I mean,
they're your brothers. I get it.
A majority of the guys, I'm still close to. I still keep up with, talk to, all that type of stuff.
Right.
So that summer, Pete Myers had a wedding.
Okay.
So we all go to that wedding.
Yeah.
Right before that wedding was when they all went to the Hamptons to recruit. Right.
Yeah.
So we're all at the wedding, right? And I'm a free agent this time, right?
Yeah.
And
you knew about the Hamptons and everything.
Yeah, I kind of knew about the Hamptons thing. So you're kind of like, you're sitting there, you guys are having conversation, but it's like, it's just, you're talking about everything but. Like, you're not talking about basketball. You're not talking about what's going on. Like, the ESPN thing came up. Oh, Dallas offers, Barnes this deal, this and the third. Like, oh, are you going to Dallas, bro? Leaving us?
They're
and I'm kind of just sitting there, you kind of hear it's like,
So, again, people don't understand. It's like, Harrison's a free agent, but there was a full-on recruitment process, and the recruitment process wasn't just the ownership, it wasn't just Lakeup, it wasn't just the GM, it wasn't just the coach, it was the guys that you came in with, the guys that you won a championship, that the guys that you had bonded with over the years, that you guys broke a record, and look, you didn't play great, but you were also an individual that wasn't a focal point. Like, you don't have the ball in your hands. Like, it's like boom, 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 boom. Okay, here you go, Harrison. Right? Like, here you go, take this shot. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, now make a shot, Harrison. Right? Like, and again, that's the part that, like, I'm not saying, like, everyone wants to play well in those moments, right?
Absolutely.
But it was like, okay, Harrison, we're going to bring in Andre Iguodala. You go do this, right? And so it was like, I'm not saying the scapegoat is not the right word, but it was like you were not put in the most advantageous position for you to succeed, but you being a professional and being a talented individual, you still found success in that, like, this is what you guys need me to do, I'll do it, and I'll do it well, right? And so in the finals, when you don't play as well as you would like, it wasn't all you. Draymond got suspended. All these things, all these different things happened, but you are now looking at your brothers, like guys that you had gone to battle with, guys like Steph and all these people that you had either conceded to or put in a position to help succeed, and now they're trying to go and recruit somebody to get you out.
Did you pull any of them aside and just have an honest conversation about it?
Because I know you didn't want to leave. Everyone knows you didn't want to leave.
No, I mean, it wasn't a situation where, like, I'm going to go over and pull them like, yo, what are you doing?
Well, and it's
like,
not in your control in a sense either.
Yeah, you know, like, I get it. You know what I'm saying? If you're in a position where, like, your job is secure, you know what I'm saying? You're on a good team, and ownership's like, hey, you know, we're trying to do this in the third, you know, you don't want to, if let's say they don't sign him, right? You don't want to be the guy who's like, oh, I didn't get on the plane, and that's why he didn't sign, and people are mad at you, you know, because I get
and to your
right?
point, it's understandable what they were doing, and he's one of the best to ever play.
But it's like you have your brother, right?
Yeah.
Like,
so it was from that perspective, it was a little like gut wrenching because it was like you know, I had played 4 years with, you know, majority of those guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, I knew Andre even before things got competitive at Golden State. I knew Andre when I was in high school. You know what I'm saying? So it was like dang, you know, you kind of feel like, you know, your family's kind of just like, you know, walked out of the house. You know what I'm saying? It was like, no, we need somebody.
We need somebody else. And you're like, well, what the? You know what I'm saying?
But you know, it's a business, and you know, from that perspective, you know, it's no hard feelings.
Yeah.
Sure.
No, and that's the thing. It is a business, and I think the best thing that probably could have ever prepared you for it was bringing in Andre, right?
Absolutely.
Because you learned very quickly. You're like, I had this amount of success, but it wasn't. You guys felt like you can go get this player, and then all of a sudden you're like, we as a team have this success, but all of a sudden you can go get this type of player
again.
Right? Again.
Okay.
And you're like, oh fuck. So now you know, they win a championship, right? So it validates, and they were fucking good. I'm gonna be really honest. They were really fucking good. Like, they were tough.
Yeah.
They were really tough. And, you know, there was a lot of conversation about, like, LeBron started the super team. Bron didn't start a super team. Like, this is what happened with Bron. Bron took a team to Miami, and he brought in two guys. But Miami the year before had lost in the first round. They were just okay. And then he joined with you know, Chris Bosh, and joined, you know, and brought himself there, and it turned into a super team, right?
Yeah.
Him being a super team would have been like in the prime of his career, right, when he could have gone to Miami, had he gone to Boston. Absolutely. Or had he gone to San Antonio. Absolutely. That would have been that. What Kevin Durant did was far different, and people tried to, like, bring him up. It's like, no, Bron, you started this. He's like, no, just because Bron's fucking super, right, doesn't mean that, like, he started the super team. Yeah. And so, like, for him, I will never speak for him, but I know that from our perspective and basketball people's perspective, when that conversation started being had, it was like, no, it's not the same. Like,
it's different. I mean, like, look, when Bron came to Cleveland, I mean, Cleveland had the number one pick. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And he elevated them to a finals, you know, record. I mean, to say that, I think, you know, Coach Kerr said it in his comments too. It wasn't like, you know, from what I had heard about the pitch, it wasn't like, okay, Kevin, we need you to elevate this franchise to a championship level. Yeah. It's like,
we're here.
We need you to solidify, you know,
what we have.
Yeah. We need you to solidify that we can be a dynasty.
Yeah.
And, you know, from that perspective, I mean, you know, it is what it is.
So the blessing in disguise, right, is now you get a chance to go be you, right? You get to join another franchise. You know, they're in a little bit of a flux right now. Like, you win a championship, you go to the finals, you win 50 games, you did all these things, and now you come to Dallas, who is in a transitional phase. You know, Dirk, who is one of my favorite, funniest teammates of all time, right? Dirk, man, I'm still trying to get you on the pod. Hey, people, hit at Swish41. And tell him to come on the pod. Yeah. But no. And he's you can understand when you see him and you've been around him why. And again, I know he's damn near 40 or he's 40. Yeah. Why he's been the focal point of the franchise for so long. Absolutely. He's got such a great personality, such a good teammate, so much of this, that, and the other. But you're in a transitional phase, so now you come here And now they're like, we're going to give you the ball 25 times a game.
And how old were you at this point then, too?
So I was 24 when I first got to Dallas.
That is a lot to deal with by 24, if you think about it, all those transitions.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough because I was, and I mean, Richard knows this better than just as well as I do. Like when you carry a chip on your shoulder, but the environment's different, right? So like it's not like you're chasing the demons of 2016, but like last year, for example, it's like you still have that chip on your shoulder, and even still today, of like, being in the finals, what that experience was like,
right,
the emotions, all that type of stuff. But then your situations like, we are getting, crushed every night.
And you'd never,
what I'm saying? And it was.
You had, like, because I know you're in North Carolina, how many state championships did you win in Iowa? 2. You won 2 state championships in Iowa. You go and have a great career. You even stayed an extra year. Everyone thought you were leaving. You stayed an extra year in North Carolina. I can't imagine how much they paid you to do that. And then you go to Golden State, and it's immediate success. Win a championship. And you're winning it for a franchise that hadn't seen this type of success. So to come to Dallas, which is, again, a very good franchise, known for a great franchise, to come here in a transitional phase where they're like, hey, Harrison, we're probably going to lose a lot of games, right? And, again, part of it was the Wesley Matthews, injury, the Achilles, not getting DeAndre Jordan. It's just been kind of like a little bit of a circus and counting, when you showed up here. Like, how has that been? I say this in a very respectful way.
Yeah.
How has it been losing?
I mean, it's been extremely difficult. Because, it was it was nothing gradual about the process, right? Like when you're winning a lot of games, and things are just done a certain way, and then it's like, we weren't like that season, my last year, first year in Dallas when I came here, we were not projected to be like
good.
Not awful.
Not awful. Not as bad as you were.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like we had D. Will. They were in the 8th spot of the playoffs. Parsons was hurt. In that time they made a run. So I'm like, oh, okay.
We'll be okay.
It's an adjustment period, but
not okay. We're going to make the playoffs.
We're going to make the playoffs. We're going to make the playoffs. It's just a matter of what seed we get, and then to just to be completely, at that time I was like, man, 33 wins. Almost 50 losses.
Yeah.
It was gut-wrenching.
And the year before, you won 173.
Yeah, and it was like, that's what I'm saying. So it's like you're chasing the demon of like that cannot be my last finals experience. I'm not saying like in terms of like what my position is on the team when I'm there, but just like being there, and then it's like we're in the draft lottery. Like,
yeah.
And this is all in a couple years too. I think
that's something
a couple
of months.
This is
a couple months.
span.
But I'm saying like in terms of your
but
in terms of just what you've been through in those years too, of the ups and downs.
Yeah,
that's unbelievable.
Well, and to HB, like that's part of this league. Like very few guys have like an extreme amount of stability. Like I played against you in the NBA Finals, right? Won a championship. Next year I go to the NBA Finals. They bring in D-Wade, they bring in Derrick Rose, they bring in all these guys, and it's like, Richard, you got to go. We can't afford you in the cap. So now all of a sudden, here I'm in Denver, and I'm not playing, right? Like, it's the same type of and we're like, we're in the playoffs, but we're struggling. But part of being a professional athlete is the ability to adjust and adapt and to be like, okay, this is my situation. I got to make the best of it, right? Very few people have that like upward linear motion consistently, and then they kind of like it's like this
where you're Tim Duncan just won.
You're Tim Duncan.
I just won 5 championships every other year, just mixed in
a down year. And so it's tough. And so to your I'm glad you came on, because I've been trying to get Andre. I've been trying to get Draymond. Not that hard, but I just think like the story that we had and everything that's gone on the last few years has been great, including, Steph being disrespectful to LeBron at your wedding. You know what I'm saying? It was cool. It was cool. It was really, really cool that
you didn't come to, but it's all good.
No, but you gave me that uninvite. You know what I'm saying? Like,
wait, I want to hear about this.
I gave you the invite.
I want to hear about this.
So we're at Kent Bazemore's wedding, right? And so I'm cracking jokes with Steph. I'm cracking jokes with HB. And that's, again, it just lets you guys know how much of a fraternity this is. Like
we had a lot of fun.
We had a lot of fun, right? Like, you're white, my white. We're all having so much fun. We're all cracking jokes. Like, it's a beautiful wedding in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And it just lets people know, like, people, like, because, you know, I have fans on Snapchat that follow me, and they're like, what the fuck are you doing hanging out with Steph? And it's like, he's a really good guy, right? It's like, it's like, but we can laugh and joke about this stuff. Like, when we're in a competitive situation, you would never know. But, so I'm, like, giving HB shit. I'm like, really, HB? Like, thanks for the invite to your wedding, man. It's really cool, man. I appreciate that. He's like, dude, no, seriously, you can come. This is it. Come here, blah, blah. And I don't...
Do you think he can?
No.
No, well... It was last minute, and, you know, I got 2 kids and shit. You know, that's going to be the excuse I always use. And so,
the excuse you use, yeah.
And so then all of a sudden, I get like, I see it, and all of a sudden, it's you. No, not at your wedding, but it's Kyrie and Steph, you know, kind of doing the little LeBron dance, and, you know what I'm saying, and all that shit. And it turned into something extra. You know, but it was your fault because it was your nuptials that brought Kyrie. Like Kyrie, no, because Kyrie had gone dark, right? Like no one since this trade, blah blah. Yeah. And the first real social media random thing they see of Kyrie is him dancing with Steph, and people are like, "What the fuck?"
It was crazy. So the whole weekend, not one video had got out, right? Everyone, it was kind of like still. I was like, this was a great time. Like, you know, no one really got. And then one person,
video, and that's the one,
put on Instagram. I mean, he probably had 100. Let's say not even 100 followers, right? He leaked that video, and then the next morning, I wake up day after the wedding, and it is everywhere. Everywhere.
No, I remember that. Now that you guys bring all that up,
yeah. You were causing fucking problems. Your nuptials caused a bunch of problems, but. No, man, like it's so crazy, man, when you look back on things, man, in your life and in your career and the teammates you had and the friends you've made and the people that have like we were teammates for 1 year, right? And, you know, here you are. And, you know, I personally as an individual, feel proud of your success. Not that I had anything to do with it, but just from I'm happy for your success, right? Mm-hmm. I, you know, genuinely happy for you. Every time we see each other, we're cracking jokes, we're fucking around. You know, we see each other at weddings, this and that. You give me an uninvite to your wedding. It's really cool. And, you know, and then here you are now, you know, helping to turn around a great city and a great franchise in Dallas. How's Rick, by the way?
He's great, man.
He's a different bird. He's a different bird.
He's a
really good coach.
Genuine person.
He is who he is.
Different, but extremely genuine.
And we got Devin now on our team.
That was one of my favorite one of my favorite people I've ever been around. He's super bougie.
Super bougie.
I mean,
I give him so much shit.
Devin is so
I give him so much shit.
I'm just getting to know him.
Yeah.
But
and this is my third team with Devin. So we were in Jersey, then I came here, and now he's here.
Yeah,
and
listening to these two have a conversation. Man.
It's fun. Because, you know, Devin is one of the few people that has been around me long enough to know how to talk to me.
Yeah, right? He does not take your crap.
So Devin shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up. And I was like, all right, cool, right? And because that's the best way, I just like to fuck around. I like to talk a lot of shit. I like to crack a lot of jokes. There's nothing else for me to do. And Devin's the one person that, I've known Richard long enough. And, all my new teammates.
Well, I was just going to say, the funny thing is they're so young, so they're all, taking his stuff, and they're kind of, listening and smiling and don't know what to say. Yeah. And then you get Devin come in, and he's like, no,
shut the fuck up, Richard. I'm sick of your shit right now. It's like, Dev, I just told you were 0 for 5 from 3. You should probably drive once. So, no, man, but honestly, man, how old are you now?
I'm 25, turned 26 in May.
God, you're fucking old. No, man, well, you know, congratulations, man. You got any babies on the way? What's your story?
No babies, man. Just trying to get to year 1, July 29th.
July 29th. Are you doing something cool, or what's your story?
Man, maybe take a little anniversary trip to either
Nantucket. Where are you going? Martha's Vineyard? No, you laugh, but ask him where he got married.
I would do South Africa.
But ask him where he got married.
You said North Carolina.
No. Kent got married in North Carolina. That's
gotcha.
Where did he get married?
Newport, Rhode Island.
Newport, Rhode Island. Yeah,
that's pretty.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Newport. It's the whitest place in the fucking world. Right. So,
great. I'm just gonna put this out there. South Africa sounds like a good.
No, South Africa. I have been there.
Cape Town is supposed to be unbelievable.
Yeah. So
have you been there?
I have been there. I went for the World Cup a few years ago.
You and Devin both bougie.
No, it's not bougie. No, you know what this is? This is the thing, man. Like, we've been so blessed and we've been in such a great position. Like, we've made money with this. And so, like, I'm a big... Like, I went to Africa for the first time when I was, like, 10 years old with my parents on a missionary trip, but it wasn't bougie. There was nothing bougie about that trip.
That was probably humble.
No, that was a very humble trip. But I'm just saying, though, like, if you get an opportunity to experience things like go to the World Cup, go to Wimbledon, go travel, go do all of that stuff. And so, like, for you and your wife to go to South Africa, it's good. Now, Kent and his wife to go to South Africa because he married a beautiful Caucasian woman. It's a little weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, the culture there is still a little different. Like, the culture, like, you guys, like HB and his wife can be on the cover of Essence. Have you guys been on the cover of Essence yet?
No,
not yet. But give it some time. Give it some time. Like, Black Love, it's beautiful. But I'm just saying, like, everything.
Where are we just going?
Yeah, everything is a little, So, no, I swear to you, because I went on a tour. I went with a tour guide.
Yeah.
And one of the things before we went to
I was in Venezuela and my family adopted a bunch of kids when we were growing up.
Which is a random statement that she just wants to bring up at the end of the podcast. But continue.
But my host brother, and then when I say adopted, it wasn't that they lived with us, but we helped pay for their lifestyle. But so my host brother in Venezuela, I traveled with him when I was 13 back to Venezuela. Yeah. It was the same thing. We got stopped at everything.
And it's one of the things was like, hey, we can so we went to we watched 2 games in the World Cup. And then they were like, well, we can go, like when they were scheduling, we can go to one other place, but it's, South Africa still has some like cultural things that are still standing that are very, and they were like, so who are you traveling? But then there's like, is there any African Americans, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, we have one, and Kareem Rush was one of the guys, and they were like, and he's a fairly dark individual, including yourself, like yourself. And so they were like, well, yeah, let's avoid this city, right? Because we were going to restaurants, we were going to dinners, and like, we don't care. We're just out talking to everybody. So they're like, let's just avoid this city. Let's get to like more of a liberal part of South Africa. Yeah. So like, so let's do that. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, you can go to some places like, that are great, and then some places are, a little different.
So you're going to World Cup this year in Russia?
I will not be going to Russia, no. But where is the next World Cup? Is it Qatar? Is it Qatar?
Yeah, they're building one in Qatar, but is that the next one?
Is that the...
Well, there's one this summer in Russia.
I
don't know where the
I went to the Women's World Cup in Germany, and then I went to I watched the women's final. I'm a big soccer fan, like especially the women's team. The men's team, they are, I love soccer. So, it's just tough for me when they failed to make the World Cup. Like, that was just a failure. But anyways, I just want to thank you for coming on. This is one of our longest podcasts, but I think given the content,
you had the wine.
I figured
this was going to be one of the shortest.
This is one of the
This was one of the longer ones.
This is one of the longer ones, but the conversation was awesome.
No, it was, and it was really fun listening to you guys kind of rehash everything and say his side of the story.
My thing is, this was definitely 2016. He wanted to get to the 2016 finals through the eyes of Richard
I know
Jefferson.
he's never. I just have to say we've done this much. He's never done a timeline thing, and he's like, all right, first year, second year, third year.
No, because this is gonna make Andre not want to come on now.
No, fuck Andre. What up, Andre? No, but my thing is, it's like this. Like history is told by the winners, right? Like at the end of the day, if you win a war, you get to tell the history. Right, like that's just that.
Well, and you two are both on both sides of it, which is really interesting.
I'm going to be honest. He's such a gracious friend because if I was on the other side of it, I don't know if I would sit down and tell the story. And my story would be a lot different.
Did he know it was coming though?
No, but this is my guy. Like, but I wanted to hear everything.
Here's how I look at it. Right, I get the text from RJ. Well, no, we go to Denver last time, right? And Devin was like, "Hey, yeah, I did road tripping with RJ." I was like, wow, RJ didn't text me. That's messed up. So I see RJ in Chapel. I said, it's messed up. He didn't text me. He said, oh, bro, I got you.
I got you. That sounds exactly like him. I got you.
So
you know what it was? Is that, Devin, again, I've known since Devin was...
Well, you had joked about that on that podcast, too, him coming to Denver.
Yeah, and then I joked about that. And then I asked Dirk, got to give, Dirk, Swish the opportunity. And then you were like, well, what's up, bro? Can I come on the podcast, bro? Like, that's cool. You're going to ask everybody but me. And I was like, dude, I got you, right? And so, luckily, Allie and Joe came up with how to fix the audio because we were struggling. We were struggling for a good 10 minutes before this got on. But, again,
thanks to Joe.
Another episode of Road Trippin'. Love you guys. Talk to you later.